rock, metal, prog, and everything in between. Welcome to this episode of Talkin' Rock with Meltdown. Don't forget to follow the audio-only Talkin' Rock podcast on all podcast platforms. And now, it's time for today's conversation. Here's Meltdown.
Myles, good to see you.
It's good to see you. Thanks for having me.
You got the new record dropping in October 11th, The Art of Letting Go. So tell me about the title, first of all.
The title, yeah, it was, I think it just kind of represented where I am in life at as many years as I've been on the planet, which is just trying to learn the art of kind of chilling out, and not being so attached to things. And a lot of times I find when I'm attached to something and want something to turn out a certain way, you become reactive, and I just like, I'm over it. I just want to be happy and just learn to just go with the flow.
Yeah. What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Oh man, a lot of things now.
Well, you brought it up, so I'm just asking.
Yeah. I think it's just, I think I'm just learning to be here, like just present, and not always thinking about what's coming up or regret what happened. I'm just learning just to be grateful for what I've got right now, so it's been really liberating. It's like this, it's amazing. And I'm stoked. Yeah.
It's funny because I was thinking about this earlier. It's like I'm trying to think of a musician that's kind of done what you've done. You've got all these bands, you do your solo stuff. Is there, obviously there's guys like Ozzy and stuff like that, but like who does that? Like you got Alter Bridge, you got Slash. Is there any other guys? I'm trying to think. Even when we were growing up, we're about the same age. I can't think of any.
Yeah, it's kind of changed a little bit. There was a period, you remember when we were growing up, there were like, I seem to remember like Neil Schon and a few other guys would put together like a side band here.
Oh yeah, like Hardline or something.
Yes, exactly. So maybe that's where the seed was planted. Or I was like, hey, that's cool. Those guys have these other projects.
Maybe Corey Taylor, right?
Corey Taylor, that's a great example.
Yeah, there you go.
And he, that guy's got a great work ethic. But I think there are a few. Obviously now you got like Slash is now he's got his blues thing that he does.
Yeah.
And he's got Guns, and Mark's got Tremonti. He's got Creed as well as Alter Bridge. So I think it's becoming more commonplace because I think people I think they like the idea of having the opportunity to express themselves in a few different venues, because it makes it so that when you get back to the band you're known for, at least for me, it feels like you kind of clean the palette and now you're ready to go there. It doesn't get stale because you've gotten things out of your system.
Well, talking about getting the things out of your system, like I've asked Corey about this as well, but like when it comes to writing stuff for your solo record, do you ever put stuff away and go, nah, this is more Alter Bridge?
Absolutely.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah.
So you have ideas for the next Alter Bridge album, or?
I've got ideas that would probably fit in that realm. Yeah, and I think that it really, doing the solo records is challenging because you have to trust your own instincts. I don't like to be like, well, sometimes I would be like, I'd send an idea like, what do you think of this? Should I save this? Or if we're on the road and I'll play something and Mark might go, oh yeah, you should save that. But it was harder on this record that I'm, The Art of Letting Go, because it's more of a rock record. It was easy on Year of the Tiger because obviously those aren't going to fit in Alter Bridge land. But with this record, because there are more riffs, and depending on how bluesy the riff was, I tried to lean more blues based as opposed to like anything that had like real drop tuning or kind of a metal vibe. That's for Alter Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you go in this record, you go in with a clear vision, this is what you want it to sound like, or does the record come to you?
With this record, it kind of came to me. I mean, I guess it was a lot of what was responsible for the sound of this record is I had this signature guitar that came out a little while ago, and it's this Paul Reed Smith guitar, and it kind of informed me. It was like I just wanted to play riffs all day. I didn't feel like grabbing the acoustic guitar and going down that road. So this was, I think, a big part of this record was that signature guitar.
Now, do you normally write songs with an acoustic, or do you or piano or anything, or what do you do?
Yeah, I used to write a lot more on acoustic, but now, and because part of it was laziness. If I'm home, I just grab the acoustic, I hear it,
right,
and it's loud, and then because I'm just too lazy, so I don't want to go plug in, and it's like, I would just sit there and watch TV and have the guitar in my hand. But now there are these little amps. There's this amp called the Spark, I think is what it's this tiny little amp. And it's like, I'll just set it by the couch, grab my dog, put him next to me and just sit there. It's like, it sounds amazing. So I use that, and that's really helped a lot with my laziness.
I don't think you're lazy at all, man. I mean, I guess I'm not a lazy person, but because I'm so afraid of being lazy, I'm constantly doing stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I know the feeling. I'm the same way. When you start to power down, you think, oh, it's like I'm gonna relax a little bit, and then you're like, I feel like I'm doing something. I'm being a slacker. I can hear my teacher. You're being a slacker, Kennedy. Get up and do something.
Yeah, speaking of teachers, people may or may not know, and I don't know if Steve brought this up, but yeah, Jason Hansen was your classmate in school. Now, were you guys, did you know him very well?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jason. So Jason and my friend Matt Yakeley and a bunch of us, we'd play football at recess. And Jason would always, he was, Jason Hansen. Like, little did we know he was going to go on to be this great. But it was hard to keep up with Jason in every way, not just with sports. He was also a great soccer player, but he was an incredible student, and he also played trumpet. I played trumpet as well. So he was always first chair. I was always second chair, second or third. I could never beat. One time I beat Jason in the auditions. He's like superhuman.
Do you ever contact with him?
Yeah,
Oh,
Jason. Something. In fact, I'm thinking I might reach out to him after this. And he comes. Sometimes he'll come to the Alter Bridge show. He likes Alter Bridge, so he came to one of the last shows we did here.
Oh, no kidding. He was there? I think that was at Fillmore.
Yep, he was there.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that was a tour with Mammoth, correct?
That was.
Yeah. What'd you think about playing with Mammoth?
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wolfgang is. He's obviously incredibly talented, and he's just a good guy. I just and we just did another tour with Slash and the Conspirators, and we did Europe with them, and I just like having them around, and not just Wolfgang, but the entire band. They're all just really cool and just a good vibe. It's kind of like family. It's kind of like the Seven Dust Gang.
Yeah.
We've known them for so long, and it's just you build a rapport. And so, yeah, I'm really happy for his success. He deserves it.
Yeah, he's really talented. And then did you've obviously met his dad.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did. And that was, that was amazing. He came to, I think the first time I met him, he came to the House of Blues, maybe around 2011 or 12, to see, it was Alter Bridge. We were playing, and so he was there, Eddie was there, Slash came down. I mean, it was just like all these, there's a picture floating around of all of us standing together, and I'm just like, 14-year-old me only could have seen where things were going.
That's crazy. So what was the first time, when did you meet Slash for the first time?
First time I met him in person was after he reached out, and then I put the vocal down for what would become Starlight off his first solo record. And so he flew me down to LA to track it. And so he picked me up he showed up and picked me up at the hotel. And that was the first time we officially met.
So wait a second, hold on. So you got a call from Slash saying, "I want you to be on my record"?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. So he'd called twice. So he called a long time, like back in 2002 when they were putting Velvet Revolver together. Somebody had heard, I was in this band called the Mayfield Four, and I think somebody had heard that. So he reached out to ask if I'd be interested in auditioning. Long story short, I was in a weird space at that point, so I did an audition and never came to fruition. But then in 2009, I think the fall of 2009, he reached out again and she said, "Hey man, I've got this track I think would be really cool. I'm going to send it to you." It was just a music bed, a really great music bed. And he says, "Put a melody and lyric to it, and we'll just see what happens." So I spent a weekend working on it and sent it to him, and a few weeks later, I was in Los Angeles, and the rest is, it's crazy. I mean, I had no idea it was going to turn into 15 years of making records and touring together.
Yeah, that is kind of wild because, that first record, if I'm not mistaken, had like an Ozzy track, a Kid Rock track. Yeah. Were you on 2 songs?
2 songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did Starlight and a song called Back from Cali.
Yeah, Back from Cali, which you did here acoustic one time with us.
That's right.
That'd be about 10 or 12 years ago now. Yeah, we got that. We played every once in a while. It's so good. That was great. That was another fun day. But yeah, so then you did all this stuff. You were in the Mayfield Four, and then I know you've talked about this before, but then somewhere along the line from Rockstar, you meet Jason Bonham, and then you end up with the Zeppelin guys.
Yeah, I know. It's even just hearing you talk about all this stuff. I'm like, this has got to be like some sort of. We're living in the Matrix. There's no way this is happening for real. So yeah, I'll never forget. We were rehearsing for the Rockstar scene that I was in.
And you're talking about with Jason Bonham.
With Jason Bonham, and everybody was there, and Mark Wahlberg, and so we took a little break, and I sat down, and Jason was there, and we just started talking, and I said, "Hey man, I just want you to know I'm like your father's legacy and how much it meant to me. It's part of the reason. It's like most of the reason all of us do this. It's just so important."
And by the way, how many times have you heard that from everybody, right?
Exactly.
Same thing with Wolfgang, probably. So
exactly. And he's so proud of his father's legacy. That's what's so beautiful about it. And he really appreciated it. And so, yeah, fast forward about, I don't know, 7 years later, whatever it was, and I get this text out of the blue. It's Jason, and he's like, "I have a favor to ask." I was touring with Alter Bridge. We just played one of the German festivals, and so it was like June, and so I'm thinking, oh, he's got a friend that wants some tickets or something to a festival. So the bus stops, and we're taking a break, and I call him up, and he's like, "Hey man, so I have a huge favor." I'm like, "Okay, I was thinking, what's their name? We'll write it down, get the paper ready." And he's like, I'm in London, and I'm jamming with some friends, and we are interested if you'd be, down with coming over this weekend and jamming some songs. And I was like, "Who are your friends?" And yeah, okay, that sounds good. Let's do it. Yeah.
And so you did, huh?
I did.
Yeah. Are there? I just read the Black Sabbath book with Geezer Butler, and he said that Sabbath and Zeppelin jammed one time back in the 70s.
No kidding.
But he said they didn't want anybody in the room. Nobody recorded. Now he goes, "Man, I wish we would have had it." Yeah. Right? Does anyone record anything you guys did?
Not like professionally. That maybe someone had like some little stereo thing going just to capture ideas. I don't know.
What do you think when Jimmy Page walks in?
It was a moment I'll never forget. Like I can still see it all so vividly. I just the way he just has a presence, obviously. No pun intended. I couldn't resist. But it was amazing. It was amazing. And the other thing also was just John Paul Jones, because when I got to that it was just a little studio. It wasn't like a full-on recording studio, if I remember correctly. It was kind of a rehearsal studio. Mm-hmm. And I just remember walking in after Jason drove, he got us there, and I hear somebody playing just awesome piano somewhere. Actually, I thought it was a record. And I was like, oh, it sounds like almost like Bill Evans or some fancy jazz stuff. And then I walk in this room, and there's John Paul Jones at the piano. And he gets up, and he's just the nicest guy.
Great guy, yeah. I met him with Them Crooked Vultures around 2009, and it's so funny because after I did my interview, and it was at one of the nice hotels down here in Detroit, and he walked around the lobby, and nobody knew who he was. And I'm thinking to myself, that guy's like a legend, and no one knows who it is. Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, and also being, like, experiencing how they all interact with each other and watching, just feeling the chemistry. He is just had such a huge part of it. You can just, his feel was magnificent, is magnificent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have nothing but respect.
Yeah, that's great. Speaking of that Rockstar movie, I remember in 2019, I went to Vegas. I met up with Blas from Slaughter.
He's so cool.
Blas is the best. So we went and saw Chris Angel. And anyways, I said something too about Rockstar or whatever, and my love for Jennifer Aniston. And then so he's driving, and all of a sudden he pulls up his phone, and he must have Googled his name and her name, and he showed me a picture of them from the movie. I'm like, son of a bitch.
That's funny because I had so many friends when they found out that was going to happen, and like when we did the reading, there's a table reading, and you go around and I got back to Spokane, and I was talking to a few friends, and they're like, so did it's Jennifer Aniston? What was she like? And it's just everybody just wanted to talk about Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, he said that apparently in this scene, I don't know if you know about this, but in the one scene where they were I guess they were flyering the parking lot, he had his hand up against the car, and somebody shut the door on his hand, but they were rolling, so he just kind of bit his tongue. And then when he said cut, of course he went like this. He said Jennifer Aniston bandaged him up.
Really?
Yeah. That's what he said. I don't know.
That's pretty. Well, I don't want to say that's pretty cool, but
no, that's a great story.
It's a great story.
If that happened to me, I'd be telling everybody.
Yeah, right. Jennifer Aniston bandaged my hands. She's great. She's super talented. I mean, it's obviously she's beautiful, but she's also just as far as like her from a comedy standpoint, her timing and everything. I mean, she's really something special. She's a talent.
Now you're talking about table reading with that movie, but you were only in that final scene, correct?
Correct.
So did you have to go with other things?
Just the table reading, which I got to be honest, was really intimidating because I'd never acted a day in my life, and I didn't even know what a table reading was.
Yeah.
So I just remember as they started out, they start at the beginning, and they're going, everybody's doing their lines and bouncing around the table, and there's a fair amount of people sitting there, and here I am, this just goofball from Spokane, and I'm just like, I don't belong. I'm just total imposter syndrome. Like, I don't belong here. What am I doing here? How did this all happen? And as I was reading, as the script was getting closer and closer to my scene, my heart was just going to bounce out of my chest. But I got through it, and it was. I think that was the only time when because of the way movies are, unless you were to film the entire thing from start to finish,
right,
like in real time.
Yeah.
But that was the only time.
So you said, obviously Jason Bonham. But did you connect with any other musicians? I mean, that you're still, that you still correspond with to this day? I know Zach was in it, and Jason, Jeff Pilson, and
he's cool.
All those guys. Brian Vander Ark from right here in Michigan.
You know what, Verve Pipe? What a great band.
Yeah.
Right. So Zach, occasionally. So if there's some festival or something, and we cross paths, but it's been a little while now. But that was a big one for me because I love Zach Wilde, and he was really cool. And after we got done shooting, I think he knew that I was like. That kid, I was like, I can tell that guy. That guy, I think he thinks I'm cool. And but he was very, 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 very nice. And so after we were done shooting, he said, "Hey, come on." It was kind of like the Mean Joe Green thing, And he invited me to the trailer, and he said, "Let's have a beer." And we just started talking, and I just remember. I told my grandfather was a Marine in World War II, and he's just oh cool, and we just had this beer, and then he gave me a box of his guitar strings. And
no
I
kidding.
still have those strings somewhere.
Yeah. So were you in the Mayfield 4? Was that was what year did that start? What year did you guys start to pop onto the scene?
We started in '96, and it came together pretty quick. But Zia and I, the drummer, we played in bands together. In the late 80s as kids. We were playing bars. We weren't supposed to be in the bars, but we were, it was one of those things. Playing covers in this one bar called Gatsby's, and we play 6 nights a week, 4 sets, paying our dues.
Yeah.
And it was really good. And then they a lot of those guys left and moved to Seattle at the height of, before everything kind of blew up, and like around 90. And then a few years later, obviously, Nirvana and Pearl Jam. But I stayed in Spokane, and I was just kind of hustling. I was doing session work, and I was teaching guitar, and then Zia, he was in a band, they broke up, and the band I was in broke up, and we were like, hey, it had been like 6 years since we played together, and like, let's do this again. And so within a year, we had a record deal from this little demo we made, and it happened pretty quick. And what's beautiful, Z and I now have been playing off and on now since like '86, and he's the drummer on all these solo records.
Right, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and then the Mayfield 4, like I know what the Mayfield 4 is all about, but why do you guys decide to go with that name, that band name?
Well, some of it was because nobody could agree on a name, and we couldn't find anything that worked. So I think I said, I always wonder what the band name would sound like. Do you remember 120 Minutes?
Yeah.
I always wonder what it would sound like if Matt Pinfield said the band name. And someone said, how about the Pinfield 4? And we're like, that's not quite. How about, because there was a bar we used to hang at called the Mayfair. And we're like, well, let's take the May, combine it with Field, Mayfield 4. And that's how it happened. And then so Matt Pinfield found that story out a few years later, because he's friends with the guy who signed our publishing, Rick Krim. And so Rick was like, hey, man, these kids named their band kind of after you. And so, yeah, every time I talk to Matt now, he brings that up. It's pretty cool.
Now, I thought that the Mayfield 4 was about the 4 guys that were named Mayfield that all were killed in the military.
No.
And that's why you can't serve with a relative. I thought that was the rule. I thought that's why I thought it was the whole
way
time.
better story. Infinitely better. Can we change it?
I'm just making stuff up now. I don't know. That's where I thought that came from.
No, I didn't know that. That's good to know.
So The Art of Letting Go, that comes out October 11th. 10 songs. I know we kind of got away from this a little bit, but I haven't listened to much of it except for Say What You Will, which we were talking about earlier. It's not a Fast Way cover. But Mr. Downside, Behind the Veil, Eternal Lullaby, Nothing More to Gain, Dead to Rights. It's, just by looking at some of the titles, it sounds a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more like in your face.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, I haven't heard the record. So is it a little bit of a down kind of record, or?
No, I wouldn't say it's down, but it's definitely, I like the in your face.
Yeah.
It's definitely in your face. I think that it's, you know, it's interesting because you're talking about the art of letting go. There are parts of it, the things, some of the narratives in some of those songs are the things I'm trying to let go of. Like some of these inner issues and these attachments and these struggles. And I think just, you know, writing about it is always cathartic, and that's part of the art of letting go, you know. But yeah, it's funny as you read the titles, I'm like, wow, these sound like real downers.
Sound a little negative.
Yeah, it sounds a little, for a guy who claims that he's like all happy and stuff, that's a bunch of BS.
We're not even going to talk about how the story ends. That's for something else.
Exactly.
But that's how the record ends, which I guess is a perfect song to end the record.
Well, yeah, but that one is actually inspired by a film. So there was a film called Speak No Evil, and I believe it's a Danish film, and I think they're doing a remake of it now, but it's really cool. It's really dark, but what I got out of it is it's really about having a backbone, and really, you know, how and I'm super guilty of this. I'm such a people pleaser sometimes, to my own detriment. So this song touches on what I feel like that song, or what that film really touches on, which is, you know, don't sell yourself out.
Please yourself first.
Try and think about yourself. Don't just do what others want you to do, because otherwise you'll end up in the quarry. See the movie and you'll get what I mean by the quarry. It's a brilliant movie.
How many of your songs have ended up in movies? Do you know?
I wish more.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
It's always. There was one. Actually, there was a song that Slash and I wrote for Nothing Left to Fear, which was a film he produced years ago. So as we're making this record, it was really weird. We were making this Art of Let It Go record, and Elvis, our producer, always has the TV on. And so in between songs, in between takes or something, and it was like this horror film. It was like really scary. And it resonated with me. I was like, I've seen some of these images before. It's been a while, but I don't know what this is. And so then I had him turn up the volume, and the credits were rolling. And I was like, man, that song sounds really familiar. Sounds like me. What the heck? So yeah, it turns out that was the song we put together for that film. But it was cool to kind of be caught off guard by it, you know. And
yeah, you need some more of that mailbox money coming in.
Amen.
Yeah, no question. So you're going to be going on tour this coming fall over in Europe, and then you're coming here to the States. The Machine Shop, we got to give our boy Kevin a plug. Yeah. You've played at the Machine Shop
many
a bunch
times.
of times. Yeah,
many times. Love it there.
Yeah, one of the best places around for sure. And Tim Montana is going to be opening up a lot of your dates coming up here in 2025. And he says, with your vast career and, you know, just everything that you've done, he says, what advice would you give him?
Oh man. You know what? I think for me, it's just what I've learned is just to. It sounds like such a cliche, but really, ultimately, it's about believing in yourself. Because you know the thing is if you know you have something to offer other human beings, if you really feel like you've got something to say, and it's authentic and it's you and only you do that, people want that. You know, and I feel like from what I've heard from him, he's got that figured out, where it's like he's doing Tim Montana. He's not trying to be somebody else, you know, because I've made those mistakes. I've gone through periods, you know, like those early Mayfield records, especially the first one. You know, I was obsessed with Radiohead and Jeff Buckley, and I didn't know who I was. I wasn't being me. I was kind of like, dude, like, who are you? So it took a long time for me to find my boy. Actually a really long time. In fact, in a lot of ways, I'm super lucky that I've been given as many chances as I have in this industry, because I didn't find myself really till I've been doing it for like singing for probably 20 years. It was always just bouncing around and, oh, I like this person, or I like this person. And I would listen to too much of that artist, and it would just be like, I wasn't being me. So be you, do you.
So you've only been singing for 20 years.
No, I've been singing, I guess I've been singing, what is it now? It's since early 90s.
Okay, so it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Because I've told you before, and I'm not just, just blowing smoke, but I've never seen someone sing so effortlessly and sound so good. I mean, you're just watching you on stage, it's unbelievable.
Oh, well, catch me on a bad night, you don't feel that way. I'd be like, that guy sucks.
All right, a couple more things here, and we'll let you fly. I'll tell you what, 3 questions, 3 quick ones. Ready? Here we go.
All right.
Name a famous overpass in Detroit. Go. You got 2 seconds.
I have no clue.
Alter Bridge.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, strike 1. You're out already.
All right, I fail.
Name a famous former MTV VJ who now does political commentary. Go.
Adam Carolla.
Kennedy. You're wrong.
Oh, Kennedy. I thought wasn't Adam Carolla, wasn't he? Okay.
I don't think he was a VJ.
All right. You're right.
All right, last one. Name a song that both Nickelback and Hardy perform. Rockstar. Come on, man.
Oh, man. So it's 0 for 3, but next time, I promise, I'll try and make it up to you.
So does anybody ever confuse you for Kevin Bacon? Okay. So what is your 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon? Go ahead, answer that.
6 degrees. Well, there's got to be something from the film.
Right, exactly. Have you never thought about this before?
No, I haven't, but I'll tell you a funny story.
Okay.
So Mayfield 4, 2001, we're on tour with Everclear. And trust me, since Footloose came out, I've been hearing this. I've been hearing this over and over. Hey, you look like Kevin Bacon. Okay, tell me something original. And so we're playing at the convention hall in Asbury Park. And we open for Everclear, and then my buddy's like, Bacon Brothers are down the street at the Stone Pony. Let's go. So we play the show, pack our gear, and we walked in. I kid you not, I walked in that venue. I couldn't go 5 feet without some like 35-year-old mom go, oh, it's a Bacon brother. Yeah, so finally we had to leave. I had to get out of there.
Have you met him?
I've never met him.
Really?
No, I've never met him. I would love to. I mean,
all I could think of is that first scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where him and Steve Martin are looking across the street. That's like one of my favorite movies. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Where they're running for the taxi.
Yeah. Isn't that John Candy?
Yeah, John Candy.
It's a classic.
Yeah. 1988, I think.
Yeah.
I was a projectionist. I watched that movie so many times.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been great.
I'd sit in the theater every time and watch the part where he wanted the car. Remember? I want a car.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I think he dropped like 22 F-bombs or something.
That's a good, going back to John Candy though, like Vacation, like my favorite moment, John Candy moment is, sorry folks, park's closed, move stop punch. I told you. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, I've taken up enough of your time, and you got that acoustic set you're going to do for us here. Thank you so much for coming by and talking with us. A new record drops, like I said, October 11th, The Art of Letting Go, and we'll see you at the Machine Shop on January 21st.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate you.